were going on, but I have studied my Constitution, founding documents, founding fathers, and I can't even tell you how many hours I've spent reading legislation and advocating for and against, and getting to know my representatives and going to the Capitol and all those different things. I believe that's what freedom is all about. Because we cannot have freedom if we do not have informed and engaged citizens. And that is what we've become. And we need to continue to do that, engage and inform our communities, and continue to reach out to others. Thank you, and God bless you guys for coming tonight. But this is really what freedom's all about. And so I hope Fred hears the message loud and clear, but if not, it's up to us to take back our state. And it's up to the others in the other states to take theirs. And I do talk with Tea Party leaders around the nation, and this is happening everywhere. So even though we're just in this corner of the woods right now, be encouraged and be courageous and be strong. So thank you very much. I'm not used to being a candidate, so go to cindygamrat.com and check out my website, and if you want to support me and donate to me, that would be wonderful, be a blessing for my campaign and help me send me to Lansing and be strong. So I think, am I just going to turn it over to Todd Corser? Okay, there you go, Todd.
Thank you.
Thank you. Give Cindy a round. Everybody here, if you will, give a round of applause. I ran for chair, and I think all of you know that, and Cindy doesn't like it when I say this, but I made one mistake running for chair, and that was running for chair. I should have run for co-chair, and Cindy should have run for chair, and then we would have won. It would have been done. No, I'm serious. She really is an amazing lady, and we have. There are a lot of activists around the state that are actually taking up the cause of running for office, and we're seeing people become less and less fearful about sort of taking that step. I started out myself in my form of activism is to run for office, like I said. And for me, the idea is that you basically have to get into the middle of it and begin to figure out what's going on there. So for the last, really I felt that the country was going to hell and I needed to do something about it. And I was just feeling this anxiety that it's drifting away. And I was sort of Tea Party before Tea Party happened. And I came home one day and I had figured out this unholy alliance that existed between the establishment Republicans and some of the unions and that sort of thing in the background. And that some of the people that I had supported were actually being supported by people that were MEA or SEIU. And so at that point I was pretty hostile. And I came home and I began to pray about it and think about it. My wife didn't know what was going on. And all of a sudden, I came to her and she said, there's something that's been bothering you. And I said, yeah, I think I'm running for office. And she said, what? What does that mean? And I said, I don't really know, but I think I'm running for state rep. I can't find a candidate that really is committed to liberty and freedom, and I need to really take up the cause of explaining it to people. And so myself, that started my crusade to explain liberty and freedom. And I began that step, and really sort of a whirlwind. It was an impossible race. There were 7 guys in it, and it was less a race for state rep than it was a knife fight. It had all of the love affair of a union protest outside of a factory. It was terrible. There were police called. There were fights. It was a terrible situation. There was vandalism. It was an absolute just a terrible situation. But what I was doing is I was pressing against the old model and the old guard. And so immediately I was targeted, and they started to begin to do whatever they could to get me to go away. And that's what happens when you're pressing against them. And somebody told me along the way, because that started to create some stress. We had a whole bunch of things happen along the way. And you start to really question whether or not you're doing the right thing. See, I got in, I was thinking, hey, we'll get the country back on track in 6 or 8 weeks and I'll be back to my life. That's what I had no clue what was going to happen with kind of like Cindy's situation and all of our situation. And it didn't happen that way. God had something else planned. And I got to the end of that and realized there was a whole lot more work to do and understanding that needed to. And so, then essentially I ran for state senate and in an impossible race to just continue to explain liberty and freedom. And that brings us around to the chair, and everybody here is aware of what happened, and we lost by, essentially we lost by 32 votes. And when we did that, it really felt this overwhelming weight on me that we had to stand again, and this is the spot to make that stand. And really, people have asked me, they said, well, what, the political calculation? I said, there wasn't any. I figured I was done in politics at that moment. I figured that was it. It would be the third time I'd run, I said, God, I'm done. I'm not doing it. And after 3 days of really struggling with it in prayer, it came to the decision that I had to run. And I finally said, Lord, I'll do it. If I get 5 votes, I'll do it. And I think that you have to finally, at some point, throw off the armor and all your fear, and you have to charge the field, and you have to do it for the right reasons, and you just have to go forward regardless of the consequences. See, if we don't have people who are willing to step forward to take those positions, then we've already lost. If we don't have people that are willing to lose and put it all on the line, all of the stress, all of that happening, if we don't have people that are willing to do that, then we've already lost. And I spent, when Sherry Facebooked me, said, hey, I want to kind of confirm some details of you coming. I was actually in New York. I know that sounds funny, a place to go on vacation. I'm not exactly sure why I ended up there, but we're taking our kids on a tour, and I'm at 28 states. So we happened to be, this was a spot I wanted to get them to. And also I wanted to see it. There were a couple things I wanted to see: the Empire State Building, the 9/11 Memorial, which was harder for me than I had thought it would be. And then the Statue of Liberty. I wanted my kids to see it. But if you want to understand what Agenda 21 is, all you have to do is go to New York City. It's there. Most of those people never leave the island. They're born there and they die there. They live blocks away from where they work, and everything is controlled. There's cameras everywhere, and there's police everywhere. It's a status lockdown. Okay? Now there's a lot of fun there, and it's a neat place to go as a tourist to see all of the different things that were there. But we did a tour, and as I'm going through it, I'm thinking of all the political stuff that's there, and I'm thinking, this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to, just like Stalin, get everybody into the cities to control them. So all of these things, Obamacare and energy, and you can look at the education process, all of those things are to lead towards the direction of bringing people to where they're controlled in a status lockdown environment. And we think about, why is that? Most people will say, well, the government wants to control everything. I think it's actually something, myself being a believer, I believe it's spiritual. I believe that they want to deny the existence of God, and that the rise of state is the only thing that exists in people's lives. Because you can't have God as your supreme Lord and Savior in your life. You can't have Christ in your life. You can't have that and then not question what's going on in our government. Amen. And we were there, and it was interesting. This is just sort of a side caveat. I have 4 children. My daughter's 13, and my son Elijah is 11, and my son Aiden, and then my son Ira. And my son Ira has no fear of anyone. It doesn't matter. He will ask whatever question he wants to ask. And we were on a tour, and the tour took us through New York, and it took us into the Bronx. And he said, anything you want to see here in the Bronx. This guy, he was from the Bronx, so it was on a bus, and you don't get off, and I had no desire to get off in that spot anyway. And he said, he started to name off all the people. He was so proud of the Bronx. Well, he had never been anywhere else. I could see why, if you've never been anywhere else, you'd think that was a special place. But he named all these people off, and my son, Ira, said, he's 7, he said, Dad, he forgot one of the important people. And I said, well, tell him. And he was a big black man with a booming voice, and he stood up in the chair and he said, you forgot one. And he leaned over and he said, which one did I forget? He said, Captain America is from the Bronx. And the guy said, oh, yeah, you're right. And he said, I want to see his house. Because he said you could see anything in the Bronx, so my son wanted to see Captain America. We need heroes again. We need people who will stand for the right things. We need to remember bravery and courage and fortitude and grit. We do. We have people who are unwilling to stand for liberty and freedom, and they are the people who are guiding or misguiding the nation. It's absolutely essential that we continue to remind ourselves of the greatness of America, and that it really is a gift from God. That's what it is. And we had so many leaders who have gone before us who have said, when America's gone, then freedom will be gone. In the United States of America, I love my country, I hate my government, I do, I fear it, and that isn't how it's supposed to be. So we as a people are the remnant. And I'm going to give you just this little story in closing. The 9/11 memorial, if you go there, it hit me harder, like I said, than what I would have thought. And I got to explain to my children, and all of us in this room can tell you exactly where we were at when we heard about it. We know the minutes that happened in the first viewing of it, and where we were sitting, and who we were with. It changed our lives. It absolutely changed our lives. And I was able to be there in those two fountains that are there. They're 1 acre in size, each one of them. And it flows down a 30-foot wall on all sides, and all the names of the people that died in that building are there. And I was able to explain to my children that there's going to come a moment in their life, a defining moment, and that moment is going to define the rest of their life. And for me, honestly, when I came back to that spot, 9/11 was the spot that changed all that, where I recognized that really the country is only preserved by the blood of patriots who are willing to stand and who are willing to sweat and bleed and pour out everything. And that's what we have to do. In the middle of those 2 towers, all of that rubble came down and it covered everything for blocks. When they finally peeled it all away and they finally got it all back in those months that happened, as we all watched that happen, and I saw the picture up there of the rubble and the flag, and what they found was a tree, and it was alive. There was still life in all that rubble. Right now our country, really, we feel like that is moving in the direction that it's collapsing. And I'll tell you that you folks in groups like you around the nation are the remnant, that last living vestige of patriotism and love for country. And I'm just going to ask you to continue to hold firm and hold fast and continue to do the work and not decrease but increase. And I just want to thank each one of you for all the hard work you've done, and I'm asking you to double down and fight against the people who are wanting to take the country to hell. So God bless you, and thank you very much. Thank you.